Hello everyone and welcome back to Accent on Gamers. My name's Senkai and this is my review of Detroit Become Human for PS4. Funny. This is such a good game. Wow. Where do I start? Well, I just wanted to say that I borrowed this game actually, so this is not my copy if you're wondering why this did not show up in my pickups video. But damn, what a great game! I'm definitely gonna pick up a copy of my own, probably later this year. But yes, this is a triple A point and click, one of those like movie-like games. Have you played The Walking Dead or any of David Cage's older games? Heavy Rain, Beyond Two Souls, and the rest. There's also Indigo Prophecy and whatever. But they are basically like old point and click games where you walk around and you interact with objects and you talk to people and sometimes you have to solve puzzles, but not as much in this game where it's more about the choices you make. Like what you interact with and who you talk to will decide where the story goes. So it's not as much as those old games where you have to like press things in a certain order to progress with the story. The story will always progress in this game, but what happens is up to you. And while you might not already know that the game is about androids and like our future and stuff, or like what could have been our future, I don't know. But it's really about the emotions of humans and how androids would turn out if they became more like us. See, in Detroit, they have come to a point where androids are basically humans, although they can't like act on their own. But then there are some of those called deviants who actually can act on their own, who have like broke broke their limits and can think and feel and they are becoming humans. So the game is called Detroit Become Human because of that. So you are following three different androids in this game. One called Connor, that's my favorite, and he's a detective. So he's like the smart guy of the three who's like his gameplay is solving not puzzles, but you have to like kind of solve puzzles, but in a more dialogue-based way, where you have to like talk to people and realize what's behind certain mysteries. It's pretty cool, and it really reminded me of Snatcher on multiple systems, but most people play that on Sega CD. And because Connor is looking for these deviants, the androids who like turned, and he's gonna like capture them or find them or really get to know why this happens and solve that kind of mystery. That's his job. So he's an android working for a corporation, CyberLife, I think they were called. But yeah, so every chapter with Connor is like Snatcher. It's really cool if you play that game. And if you haven't, it's kind of like you're in a room and you're looking for a deviant. You don't know where they are, and they show up, and it's kind of like action-y. It's a detective case at first, but it turns out to be like a bit more action-y at the end of the chapters. It's really cool. It's really cool. And in between these chapters with Connor, you also play as a girl, or android girl, called Kara. Kara was in a teaser for this game many years ago. That was actually just a tech demo called Kara, where you would see her and how they like built her. It was very emotional because they really like built a human, and then they took it apart because they found out like in this tech demo she had too many emotions, so they took her apart and it was going to like take away her emotions. Go watch the tech demo if you want to. It's called Kara and with an K. and it's beautiful. It's beautiful. So it's nice to see her in the game because she was my favorite character for the majority of the game, but Connor turned out to be slightly above. Um, Kara's gameplay is different. It's more emotional story like The Walking Dead, if you play those. Kara is a android who is like a maid. She because these androids have like different types, and her android is supposed to like just help you at home. It's kind of tough to see and play really because it's more or less slavery in a way. But it turns out that she saves a little child, a daughter of a like drug addict. So you kind of rescue her from that place. It's tough to talk about because I know he wasn't having it so easily and such. It's a very emotional scene, but her opening chapter is about that, and the rest of the game is like her escape with this child, and their bond is so beautiful. She becomes like a mother to this child, obviously, and she's an android, so it's so cool to see the android have these like the mother's instinct and like everything. It's fantastic. It was so cool to see how it all turned out in the end, obviously. But the journey is just as good as the ending. The ending was perfect for me. But the game as a whole, phenomenal because it's so intriguing and so you're really in there. And it has to do with the difficulty as well, but I'm gonna get back to that. Let me first talk about the third character, and that's Marcus. Marcus is a really relaxed and philosophical android. He turns out to be that in a way. He starts as he's helping an old man, an old artist who paints, and Marcus like serves his breakfast and stuff. So Marcus is really just there, driving around in his wheelchair and just helping this old man out, and you know, there's a lot of things that can happen in this game because there's a lot of choices and different paths you can take. But for me, this old man died, and I think he can survive, or maybe he just passed out. I don't know, but we didn't get to see him more in my story because Marcus escaped from there, and at the scene where the old man fainted or died, I don't know. Marcus got so angry that he became one of these like deviants and started to act and feel on his own. So Marcus is the guy in the story who tries to save androids. He's recruiting and turning more androids into deviants, and throughout the whole game, he's just going around and like helping androids, and yeah, it gets really cool by the end where he really tries to make them justice, and he's like the political part of the game, where he will like talk with humans about what's right and what's wrong, and it's really cool. I like all three. And as you might have realized from what I said, they are all very different to each other, and you play one chapter at a time. So it's like Connor, Kara, Marcus, repeat, and throughout the entire game. And it keeps the balance and variety good enough where you have action, emotion, mystery, and political drama, everything bite-sized in chapters. It's really nice. I liked it a whole lot. And so what I was going to talk about the difficulty is that I played this game on easy. There was easy and normal, and that didn't really make the game easier. It just made my decisions, it gave me more control of my decisions. I think you can load or like replay chapters and stuff. I didn't do that. I wanted to like take responsibility over my choices and the things I say and do in this game. And like every stage, or rather every chapter, had like 20 outcomes. So it was crazy, really. There was so many things you can do differently in Detroit. So so I would always do what I thought was best. And when I talk about difficulty, that's the difficulty in making these choices. You're holding this controller and you can't do anything wrong because you might fuck up your entire story. It's really something else. By the end of this game, if you, like me, had everybody surviving except this old man I just talked about, who maybe died, but all the main characters survived, and every time a character survives in this game, it makes the game longer, obviously, because you get more scenes with that character. I think this game can be really short if people die off quickly, but for me, the game was about 12 hours long. I heard the game was gonna be eight hours. But for me, it was much longer. I think I don't want to say like I got the true end or like the perfect playthrough, but damn near it, really near it. I did everything as good as I could, and I'm just so happy that the first initial playthrough, just because I took it so seriously and made all these difficult choices and really focused on everything throughout the entire game, not to make anything that I would regret, turned out to be so beautiful at the end of the day. The very last scene with Kara, I made a wrong choice. The overall ending was nice, but I did replay the last chapter just so that that certain thing that happened, I would redo that. I would replay the last chapter is long, by the way, it's like an hour. But I would replay the last chapter and pick every single option that I did the other time because I didn't want to change anything. I wanted it to be like my own playthrough. I just need to change that one thing with her arc. And guess what? I got a trophy at that second time when I loaded it and I changed that one little thing. I got a trophy, and that was a really rare trophy. It was called Survival, Survivor or Survival, and you get this for like having every character in the game surviving. So I guess the old man didn't die after all. But this included like sub characters and like not just the main characters, but a very, very cool trophy, and that made me feel like wow, I did this all myself, and that was almost more incredible than beating a very hard game, because this was hard in another way. So don't let the difficulty fool you. If you play this game on normal or like the harder difficulty, it just makes like the button prompts harder or like the QTEs faster. And I think in a story-driven game like this, I don't think that belongs here. I think you should have a fair amount of time to make your decisions and really like the outcome should be in your choices and not in like, oh, I pressed the wrong button, somebody died. So that's why my playthrough turned out so good, because I played on easy and I thought it was worth it. So I highly recommend you all play the game on that difficulty as well, because what a fantastic experience at the end of the day. So good. Out of all these like movie-like games, this is my new favorite. I even prefer it to Snatcher, that is in a similar genre, and I like it because of the themes. But this game brings up all of those themes that I liked in Snatcher, but in like a AAA game, the graphics are some of the best graphics I've seen, because the full game is motion captured, and I've seen a lot of videos afterwards, like the making of, and there's a lot of soul in this game. That's what I want to try and say. There's a lot of love and soul put behind creating and making this game. You have to remember that every single actor, the ones who did the motion capture, they had to do all these like 20 outtakes for every, or outcomes for every single chapter. That's like a lot of scenes they have to redo, and for them to not get tired and actually like replay the same scene over and over again with still like full emotion, the voices as well, because they are running around and talking at the same time, I guess, when they record this. But the voices for the characters are top notch. The emotion is really there, and the soundtrack for Detroit is made by 3 people. they actually had one separate soundtrack for each character. So the emotional scenes with Kara had a orchestra make like emotional music just for her chapters, and for people to make an entire soundtrack together and like learn and think about these scenes only and not get distracted by thinking like what they should do with the other characters. That's really clever because the music turned out to be really good, and I can totally see how maybe other developers should try this, because they could really focus on one character and do some really good songs for those scenes, those chapters and characters. Um, Excellent stuff. The game includes a lot of bonus material. You have more artwork than most art books. Like you have so much illustrations, concept art, backgrounds, a whole lot of artwork in the game that you buy with like in-game bonus points you get from playing the game. So after you beat the game, I had enough points to buy more or less everything. So I highly recommend you do. If you're a fan of the game when you beat it and you like really like the setting and the world and everything, definitely go into the extras menu, I think it was called, and watch everything. It was worth it. You also had like some you could watch the old trailers leading up to the game. Also the teaser I mentioned, Kara, was watchable in the game on this disc. Like no PlayStation Store or anything. Very very cool. So I have to give the game praise for that as well. It is a genre I like really much. Heavy Rain was a classic, and I really really enjoy all the Telltale games as well, even though they are getting a bit too much. I guess I'm getting kind of bored of the Telltale games nowadays, but I love them back when I played the first ones. So that made me a bit skeptical. I didn't know if I was gonna like this game because I'm not a as big fan of the genre anymore as I used to be. But it turned out that this was my new favorite. I like it more than all the other ones, and like I said, if I can compare this game to the greatness that is Snatcher, a game made by Hideo Kojima, I hope you take me seriously and give this game a shot, because so far Detroit Become Human is my game of the year for 2018, and we'll see games coming out later like Valkyria Chronicles maybe might surpass it for me, but so far definitely the greatest game I played this year and the greatest game in its genre I ever played. So I highly recommend Detroit Become Human. If you have a PS4, it's unfortunately exclusive, but exclusive games always comes with a bit more polish. They really took their time making this work on the PS4, and it's beautiful. So that's it for my review for Detroit. I hope you enjoyed, and until next time, get gaming.